This audio is brought to you by MuslimCentral.com.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، وعلى كل من تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا يا رب العالمين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه وبعد. Respected brothers, and we have sisters as well, and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. First of all, it's an honor and it's a privilege to be here in New Jersey, taking part in this very important program organized jointly by two organizations, Baytul Hamd and this center here in Middlesex. What is it called? Muslim Center? Yeah, Muslim Center of Middlesex County. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward both organizations for arranging this program and all of you for coming today on a Saturday evening. The topic, as it has been advertised, Islamic finance. But you might not, well, I will discuss some aspects of Islamic finance, but before I do that, I want to talk about this in a slightly different way. Not your normal lecture that is selling you some Islamic finance product. I'm not selling any products. I don't own any Islamic finance business. I just want to talk about it from an Islamic point of view, from a fiqh point of view. This is why sometimes when there's an announcement that the topic is Islamic finance, people say, oh, some companies here to sell their products. And that's not what I'm doing here, and I have no agenda. And also, the Sheikh said I have expertise in Islamic finance. Not really. It's one of the areas that I've studied and I've advised, etc., but it's not my main area. I talk about a lot of different topics. I've also conducted courses in the UK with doctors. We have fiqh of medicine. We have detailed courses for all the medics and doctors up and down the country, where we have seminars on Islamic medical ethics. Also, a lot of the brothers that know me in England, we do a lot of programs on marriage and divorces and family life. So we have different topics. So I don't want to just talk about some Islamic finance and these are the companies, etc. I want to talk about Islamic guidelines from the Quran and from the Sunnah in regards to money, wealth, dealings. Some things you might know, some things you might not know. The Islamic guidelines and teachings of earning a halal income. That's my main focus. And then we'll talk about some modern day issues relating to Islamic finance. Now, we know every human being, we have a responsibility, and living in this life, we have to earn a living. We can't live without earning a living. It's part and parcel of our life. Every human being needs to earn a living. And therefore, Islam, because it's a comprehensive way of life, sometimes we make a mistake. Islam is not just a religion. This is why there's a difference between Islam and other faith communities. In other faith communities, you have just certain restricted symbols or certain practices that you do, and that's it. Islam is a comprehensive way of life. So Islam has guidelines and teachings from the moment we wake up till the moment we go to sleep in every sphere and every aspect and every branch of life. It's a comprehensive way of life. Islam is not just restricted to the way we dress. And this is the problem, that sometimes what's happening is that some of us, we restrict Islam to certain areas of life. For some it's just worship, ibadat. You pray and that's it. For some it's just about dressing like a Muslim. Islam is a comprehensive way of life. It has teachings and guidelines in every area of life, which includes our financial dealings. The Quran is filled with verses. The Sunnah is filled with hadiths of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam that deal with the category known as the category of mu'amalat. Mu'amalat means financial transactions. It's a very important branch of Islam, how a person acquires money and how and where he spends his money. How a person earns a livelihood and how this person spends his money. It's a very, very important part. This is the branch known as mu'amalat. If you look at the Quran, as I said, verses filled. The hadiths have chapters. Kitab al-Buyu' is a chapter of trade and commerce and transactions. There's hadiths of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, dedicated chapters to just business, trade, commerce and finance. And then the books of fiqh, which are derived from the Quran and Sunnah, have dedicated volumes and chapters relating to laws of business. The longest verse in the Quran, if you look at the Quran, what's the longest verse in the Quran? The longest verse of the Quran doesn't talk about wearing a topi, a hat. I'm not trying to undermine it, but I'm just saying, it's not even about salah. The longest verse in the Quran is not about praying Fajr. Fajr is very important, it's farad obligation. The longest verse in the Quran, which is in Surah Al-Baqarah, in 2 pages, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives detailed guidelines of credit transactions. That's the longest verse in the Quran. If you look at details of ibadah, the Quran doesn't even give us details of worship in Quran. There's nowhere in the Quran a detailed description of how to pray Maghrib Salah that we just prayed. Even 3 has not been mentioned of rak'ah. Maghrib, just about Allah mentioned the term Maghrib. But 3 is not mentioned. It's all in the hadith. No details, even fasting, just brief guidelines of fasting, brief guidelines of salah. But when it comes to monetary dealings, Allah goes into extreme detail. When it comes to marriage, Allah goes into extreme detail. When it comes to divorce, Allah goes into extreme detail. This is how you give talaq, this is how you divorce, this is what you should do, this is what you should not do. When it comes to financial dealings, the longest verse in the Quran is Ayatul Mudayana, the verse of credit transactions. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا تداينتم بدين إلى أجل مسمى فاكتبوه. O you who believe, Allah is talking to the believing men and women. When you take a credit transaction, when you take a loan from somebody, إلى أجل مسمى, and it's to a fixed period, and that's a condition that you have to make it clear that when you've taken the loan and what's the fixed period. فاكتبوه, write this down, have a contract in place. And this is what the hadith is saying as well, that there's hadith where the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Sunan al-Tirmidhi, he actually, there's a Sahabi companion, he said, I transacted. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam did business and trade to show us how to be a businessman as well. And Khadija radiallahu anha was a businesswoman to show how a businesswoman should be. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam did a credit transaction with this companion. And when he did the credit transaction, he told him to write a contract. This was in a time 1400 years ago when nobody used to write anything. The first people who actually recommended was the Muslims. The hadith said that you should have a contract in place. That this is the contract. This is Muhammad bin Abdullah, the Rasul of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this is another companion, and he purchased from him this item on credit until this time. It will be paid back at this time. So the Quran is saying, "Faktubu," write it down. When you take a credit transaction, write it down. And this is why most scholars of the opinion that this faktubu amr, this command in the Quran, is actually one of recommendation or obligation, but many have said it's recommendation. But in these times, because there's a lot of disputes, it's close to being an obligation, depends on the circumstances. But we should write it down. If anyone takes $200 from somebody, you pay me next month, write it down. Get 2 witnesses. This brother A has taken $200 from brother B. Signed by brother A, signed by brother B. These are the 2 witnesses. When will you pay me back? How will you pay me back? And this is the reason why all these detailed laws are in the Quran and Sunnah about monetary issues, because one of the main reasons why people fight, one of the main, probably the main reason, not even one of the main reasons, the main reason that there are disputes, there are quarrels, there are fights, there are even wars. The world wars are all about this. It's all about oil. It's one of the main reasons that people fight is because of money issues. And this is why the hadith says, حُبُّ الدُّنْيَا رَأْسُ كُلِّ خَطِيئَةٍ. The love of dunya, greed, and love of wealth, and will is a cause of every sin. You will fall out with people because of money. You will kill because of money. You will murder because of money. You will dispute, you will swear, you will slander, you will desert people, you will not talk to people. Families are disunited. I know so many cases where family are disunited. Parents and children don't talk to one another. Real blood brothers don't talk to one another because of monetary issues. When inheritance issues, I just had a case last week. This old lady, she came to my office, 73 years old. She said, all my sons, nobody, they're waiting. She said, she was crying. She's a lady practicing household. My sons say to me that, Mom, when are you going to die that we get your inheritance? Children are waiting for their mother, their father's already passed away, to die because they want the house, they want the property. People are fighting, disputing. One of the major reasons money matters are the main issue because of which people are disunited, because there's hubb dunya, this love of world, love of wealth, love of money. And this is why Islam gives detailed guidelines to avoid disputes, to make sure that our dealings are clear. And this is why there's a hadith. This is not a hadith, it's a saying of one of the tabi'i. It's been reported as a hadith, but it's not really a hadith. But it's a saying which one of the early scholars, one of the tabi'i or tabi'i from the Salaf said it, and which is taken from the spirit of the Quran and Sunnah. The messenger, the statement is, "Ta'asharu kal ikhwan wa ta'amalu kal ajanib." Live like brothers, transact like strangers. Live like brothers, transact like strangers. Be brothers and sisters with one another. But when it comes to monetary issues, transact like strangers. Make everything clear. Even within the same household, even within the same family, make sure that your financial dealings are clear. Because one of the main reasons why families are split and disunited is because of money. When there's a family business, a father has a business, you have one son coming and joining in the business. What capacity is he joining? Nobody knows. When you say, clarify, father, son, brothers, like, well, we don't need to clarify. Okay, no problem, you don't need to clarify. Everyone's it's one household. One son, and then the second son comes, and the third one is coming, and then one is spending from the business, and the second one, and then one gets married. Well, he took so much money from the business when he got married, and then nobody knows who owns what. The sons, are they really partners in the business? Islam says clarify. If the son, does he have 33% share? Does he have 20% share? Is he just an employee that employed by the father? So where are his wages? Is he a partner in the business, or is he just voluntarily helping his father or mother? What is the capacity? We need to make all of these things clear. Initially nothing will matter because they're young. But when people grow old, then brothers get disunited. When the father passes away, inheritance. We have cases that come to us with inheritance. We have cases that this father left and he left this property and that property and this and that, and one brother said, no, I paid more money in the business, and this I own more, and another said, no, I own more and I have more share. And it's difficult. There's no way we can come to a solution because nothing is clear from day one. And they say, yeah, we made a mistake from day one, we didn't clarify. Because we didn't clarify, there's no solution. There's no solution in Islam. Now you just have to just fight one another, or just agree to just forgive one another and just say, just do it, just agree to something. They come to the people of knowledge and they say, give us a fatwa. How should we divide this? But there's no way. We can't give an answer because nothing's clear. Nobody knows who owns what. And this is why all these verses of the Quran, all these hadiths of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam talk about ensuring dealings are clear. And that's why dedicated chapters are in the hadiths. Kitabul Buyu', Kitabul Tijara, the chapter of trade and commerce. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in one hadith, there's two hadiths which are both together in many books of hadith in Sunan al-Tirmidhi and elsewhere. In one hadith, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "At-tajir as-saduq al-amin ma'a an-nabiyyina was-siddiqina was-shuhada'i was-salihin." A tajir, a businessman, a tradesman, which means anyone who does any business, who is saduq, who is truthful, he's al-amin, he is trustworthy, then this tradesman, this businessman, this person who is earning a livelihood will be on the day of judgment ma'an nabiyyin. Look at the rewards. He will be on the day of judgment with the prophets, ma'an nabiyyin, was-siddiqeen, with the siddiqeen, the truthful people, was-shuhada, his rank will be with the martyrs, was-salihin, and with the righteous people. A truthful tradesman will be in the company of these people on the Yawm al-Qiyamah. The next hadith straight away in the same chapter, التجار يحشرون يوم القيامة فجارا. All the traders on the Yawm al-Qiyamah will be resurrected as sinners. Illa, there's an exception. Illa man ittaqa wa barra wa sadaq. Except the one who feared Allah in his transaction except the one who was trustworthy and truthful in his transaction. Then they are the exception. In other words, what these two hadiths are saying, these two hadiths are indicating that there's actually two groups of people who earn money, and that includes everybody, because we all earn money. Two groups, there's no middle way. You're either top of the league or the bottom of the league. You're either in the top group or the bottom group. There's no middle ground. Either you're a businessman who is a pious, trustworthy businessman who will be with the Anbiya and the Prophets and the Siddiqeen and the Martyrs and the Salihin, or you will be in the other group, which is Fujjaran, the sinful people destined to go to hellfire. May Allah protect us. And these are the only two groups. And this is why all these teachings of the Quran and Sunnah telling us, ensuring that we get into the first group. How do we get into the first group? The hadith mentioned two things. Everything is really covered in these two things. At-Tajir, as-Saduq al-Amin, who is trustworthy and truthful. Two amazing qualities. You know, the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before he was given prophethood, many of you know, they used to call him with as-Sadiq al-Amin. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before he gave da'wah, before he was 40, before he called Quraysh to Islam, they used to know him by as-Sadiq al-Amin. The truthful person, never speaks a lie, and the trustworthy person, where anyone could trust him. These are the same two attributes mentioned for that group of traders who will be in Jannah, who will be with the Salihin and the Shuhada and the Siddiqeen. And everything gets covered in these two things, but there's more details as well about this. How do we ensure that we get into that first group? How do we ensure we are in the group of the traders who are with the Anbiya, with the Prophets, with the Siddiqeen, with the righteous people, with the martyrs, with the Salihin? There's two main things. Number one, and which is very, very important, is that the niyyah, the intention of a Muslim businessman has to be different. And this is not just in business. This is, you see, honestly, our religion has a massive, there's a great part in the teachings of Islam, a great part of the teachings of Islam is to do with the heart and with the intention, with the niyyah. Ikhlas, sincerity, like we say, we pray for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why most hadith books start with إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Actions are according to the intentions. Niyyah plays a massive role even in business. Sadly, the world we're living in right now, which is a commercialized world, which is a materialistic world, everyone's materialistic more or less, especially you go into New York, center of New York, Wall Street, Dow Jones, stock market, stock exchange, you could be completely embroiled in that whole materialistic mentality where nothing matters, only money matters. Money matters, and money only matters. Money matters, only money matters. Do you understand the difference between the two? This mentality that no matter what, come what may, at whatever cost, at whoever's advantage, whether I am harming somebody, whether someone's suffering, who cares? For me, the only thing that matters on planet Earth is I make the most money. Whatever comes in my way, brush it aside. And this is an animalistic trait. This is what animals do. If you go to some pond and take your children, and have you seen the animals fighting for bread? You throw and they'll fight for food. We think we are what? We are civil, but we don't do that. We don't fight for bread. Well, just because we've got a bit of food to eat. If human beings didn't have that, if we didn't have food, we'll be killing each other for a piece of bread as well. These are animalistic traits. Have you I take my children to see the ducks. You see, and I told my son, he's 8 years old, I said, look, this is what is an animalistic trait. We have to be human beings. Human beings are not just by body. عليك بالروح فاستكمل فضائلها. The poet says, فإنك بالروح لا بالجسد إنسان. You are not a human being by your body. Even animals have bodies. Not by eyes and the ears and the nose and the skin and the flesh and the body we have. It's the soul, it's the internal being of the human that makes a human. And these are animalistic traits of greed, of jealousy, of hatred, of unhealthy competition. And this is why I was speaking to a friend of mine who's a quite successful businessman, and he was many years ago, and he was telling me, he said, when I got embroiled in this whole financial business sector, it's like you are given this understanding that you can't make money, you can't be successful unless you have rivalry. You have rivalry. Look, healthy competition is not a problem. But what Islam says is that it's not that, the niyyah must not be just, I want to make money at whatever cost. If that means, whatever, if someone else really goes into a bad situation, unhealthy competition, rivalry, putting down others. He was telling me, I gave a lecture on business ethics in light of Islam and moral business ethics. This brother came to me and he said to me that these business ethics, if we start acting upon them, I might as well not do business in this day and age. Because you can't earn money. But then this brother said, I am going to do it. And he started doing it, and after a few years he told me that, subhanAllah, the amazing barakah that Allah gave me. Initially I lost out money, but Allah gave me barakah in my money, in my rizq, that I am far more happy now. It's because remember, it's not about quantity. There's a difference. We always hear, please make dua for me, I get barakah. Do you know what barakah means? Blessings. Barakah, people don't understand the meaning of barakah. That's why the hadith, the dua, the Messenger ﷺ said, Allah, we should make this dua. Allahumma barik li fi rizqi. Oh Allah, give me barakah in my rizq. You know what that means? That doesn't mean, oh Allah, if I was getting $100, give me $200. That's not what barakah means. Barakah is not the increase in, it's not a quantity increase. Barakah is something deep internal. You might get less externally, but the barakah is that you feel more happy, you get more things done with less money. Imagine your wages are 20,000 and someone's wages are 15,000, but the one with 10,000, the one with 20,000, his expenditure is 19,000, and he gets home and there's this bill and someone's got a hospital and he has to go to the hospital and there's an accident there and the car got accident there. That means there's no barakah. The one who had 10,000, his expenditure is 4,000. So he's got 6,000 left. This one's wages are 20,000, but he's got 1,000 left. Barakah is that with less money, you are able to do more. And this only comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's one meaning of barakah. And the other meaning of barakah is happiness in the heart. Happiness, and I gave the Jumu'ah khutbah on this, happiness in the heart is not with the wealth. Money never buys happiness. This is ata'um min Allah. There are so many people who are multimillionaires who don't have happiness. I've spoken to so many of them. You might find so many sports stars, I don't know here, but in England where I come from, they actually earn thousands and millions, but they are depressed. They go into drug abuse. They commit suicide, some of them. They have massive amounts of money, but they need to take pills to go to sleep in a mansion. Because the raha, the sukoon, the tamanina, the amazing tranquility that Allah gives has not been given. I mentioned this story as well. I was once in Denmark, which is in Europe. We were sitting with some of the brothers. One of the brothers said at the food time that there's a survey, research done here in Denmark, that the Danish people are the happiest in the whole of Europe. This was 2-3 years ago. That they did a survey and they found that in the whole of Europe, the Danish people are the happiest. Then another brother said that no, there's actually, I read another research just yesterday, a survey, that one of the highest rates of suicide is in Denmark. Highest rate of suicide. So what's happening? Is it this survey right or that survey right? So there was a sheikh there, one of my teachers, he mentioned Mufti Uthmani, he came and he was there as well, he was eating with us. So I asked him, I said, what do you think? He said, well, I don't know, one could be right, one could be wrong, but if they're both right surveys, researches, then what comes to mind is that the first survey, which showed that the Danish people are the happiest, there are two different things here. One is means of happiness, one is happiness itself. One is asbabur raha, means of happiness. You know the difference? Means of happiness is what? Having money, cars, jobs, properties, mansions, wealth. These are all means of happiness. People around you, family, these are all means of happiness. But happiness is something else. Means of happiness is something else. Sometimes you have means of happiness but no happiness. And sometimes you don't have means of happiness but internally you're so happy, content. I met one person who was sleeping roughly. I'm just so happy, content. I moved from one place to another. And he's happy internally. He doesn't need a pill to go to sleep. He's like snoring away. And there's another person in a mansion and he needs pills to sleep. His mind is distressed. So the first survey, he said the first survey is actually looking at means of happiness. Danish people are happiest. They looked at job prospects. They looked at buildings. They looked at properties. They looked at wealth, how much people earn. and they said Danish people are the happiest. Second one, which showed that the most suicide is in this country, is looking at actual happiness. Despite having all the means of happiness, real happiness is not there. They're committing suicide. So this is why we make dua to Allah to give us barakah in rizq, which means two things. One is that we benefit from the wealth, and number two, it gives us contentment. You could have money and you could also have barakah. That's not a problem. But this only comes with if we stick with the guidelines of Sharia. So I was saying that these two hadiths, there's two categories of people. One category are the tajir, or the businessman, the tradesman, who is with the anbiya, with the siddiqeen, with the shuhada, with the salihin. The other ones are all sinful people. How do you get into this first category? I was saying niyyah. Niyyah, which means that for a Muslim, earning a livelihood is not just about money. This is very important. This materialistic, capitalism, this mentality that has been put on our heads in every aspect of life. You ask young people, what do you want to study? In the olden times, people used to study, take a career path that they enjoyed, number one. Number two, they used to take a career path that they think they could serve humanity, not just Muslims, humanity. Why are you going into medicine? I have this passion for medicine. I want to be a doctor, I want to be a surgeon, I want to help people, I want to help humanity. Why do you want to take this career? You have a passion to serve community. You have this passion to serve community, you think you are able to help people. But now, the materialistic, capitalist mentality that is on everyone's head has made even people, which career are you taking? Which one gives you the most money? Everyone, even parents, go into this makes the most money. Do you want to be a doctor or do you want to be a dentist? Or which one pays more? This is the mentality. We are not educating, we are not studying, and we are not gaining education because of education and because of spreading that knowledge and helping humanity. We are studying because of money. Which job or which industry do I want to go into? First thing, I'm not saying money is not a factor. It is a factor, but secondary. Even our students of Islamic knowledge will tell them. And this is the first thing in Islamic knowledge we say that, look, don't look at money. Don't look at which imam job is going to pay you the most. But that's not just for scholars. We think that's the only, the imams, you should not be looking at money. You're doing khidmah of deen, why are you looking at money? That's for everybody. Not just for scholars and imams that don't look at money, look where you can serve. Because Islam doesn't separate between serving in the masjid or serving in the Wall Street. There's no difference. I had a talk last year in New York, actually. I mentioned this example many times. Last year I came here in April. I had a talk at St. John's University. The title of the talk that they made, and the students, and they had a flyer, balance between deen and dunya. Because they said, we are studying in the university, how can we create a balance between dunya, which is our study, and deen? I went and I gave a whole lecture saying, who told you that this is dunya? Islam doesn't say university is dunya. There is no separation. This is balance between, there's no deen and dunya here. Being a doctor, medicine is deen. Being a lawyer is deen. Being a mechanic is deen. Being an engineer is deen. Being a tradesman is Islam. Islam doesn't separate. Islam is not just in the masjid. It's everywhere. And I said, you need to change the title. Maybe the better title of the lecture would have been balance between one aspect of deen and another aspect of deen. Balance between one aspect of deen and another aspect of deen. A student who goes into medicine with the intention of the niyyah, I want to serve the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want to serve humanity. I want to help people. Money is secondary. I told them, I said, change your intention. You come in to study here every day at the university. With every step you go, there'll be an act of reward, just like you're going to the masjid. Because your intention is now mainly to serve humanity. Irhamu man fil ard, yarhamkum man fis sama. Al-khalqu iyalullah, fa'ahabbu al-khalqi ila Allahi man ahsana ila iyalihi. All these hadiths. Then secondary, you have money in your mind, because that is an important factor, but not the most important factor. So even in business and trade, this capitalistic and materialistic mentality that has been forced on our heads is, it's just all about money. It's all about money. It's just all about money. It's only about wealth. Everyone wants to just be it's a very materialistic, narrow sort of vision. Islam says, look, if you want to be with the first group of people, التاجر الصدوق الأمين مع النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين. And also the hadith, كسب الحلال فريضة بعد الفريضة, earning a livelihood, halal livelihood, is actually a fard, an obligation after all obligations. Then the first thing, there's two things we need to do. This is the first thing I'm talking about, is that we change our perspective. Why we're earning, why we're studying, why we're doing this, is because I have a passion for it, I can help and serve the community. What does the community need? Not just about me making money. Money, inshallah, Allah will give, and He'll give with barakah, He'll give rizq with barakah. But if you're in this community, what is the requirement of Muslims in my community? Or the general community? This is my passion. I want to do this and help people and serve the community and humanity at large. And that is a very, very important perspective and change of intention. So this is how you get into the first group. Changing of the perspective, changing of intention, not being materialistic, not just making everything about money, 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 money. Money will come, Allah will give, and will give a lot, and will give with barakah. But the main intention, perspective has to be, which is to do with serving the community. And the second thing which is very important, and that's the main part, in order to be with the tradesmen who are with the prophets, the most important thing, the second thing is that what we do, the way we acquire money, it is in a halal way. That is the most important thing. I said two things. We have two groups of people. We want to be, inshallah, Allah make us all from the first group. Those tajir, the truthful tradesmen, the trustworthy tradesmen who will be with the prophets, with the siddiqeen, the martyrs and the salihin, and not the second category of people who are all be raised as sinners on Yawm al-Qiyamah. How do we get into the first group? We get into the first group by changing, number one, perspective. Okay, that's one. Keep this in mind. Number two, the second way is that we ensure that our earnings are halal. That's why the hadith said, كَسْبُ الْحَلَالِ فَرِيضَةٌ بَعْدَ الْفَرِيضَةِ. Earning a halal livelihood. Brothers and sisters, this is so important. One of the main reasons why we find negative sometimes in our communities is because people are not earning halal. People are not eating halal. Halal food is not just chicken and meat and halal dhabiha. People are obsessed with that. Okay, it's important, but we are obsessed with that. But if in the beginning our earnings are haram, you could be eating vegetables are haram. It's not just about the ingredients of the food. Once a brother came to me, bought this chocolate wrapper. Oh, Sheikh, can you check the ingredients? It's E49632, E49322. He was obsessed. Every week he's coming with E493962. Okay, you can look into it, but don't get obsessed with it. But I told him, then I asked him, I said, what's your job? And he told me he had a job which is completely haram. I said, you could be eating vegetables and it's haram. Forget E4961. Even anything you buy with your food, with your money is haram. Where do you earn your money from? It's very, very important. There are laws in Islam. And this is why the Islamic system of economy is it's in the middle. We all know you have the capitalistic system and you had the socialist system. The socialist system didn't work. They tried it for many years in the former USSR states and Korea and China and wherever. And the extreme form of that was socialism. Communism. Socialism was state control. There's no private sector. It's all controlled by, nobody can do their business how they want and buy and sell. There's no freedom. Yes, that was an extreme. And this whole Cold War between this country and Russia, USSR, was really about the capitalist system and the socialist system. So, with the fall of the USSR, I don't know if some of you must be, you're old enough, you were alive when, the fall of the USSR. It was, and they actually wrote, Boris Yeltsin, who was a president, he actually said when USSR fell, that I wish this whole experiment of socialism was carried out on some small island that it didn't take 90 years to find out its flaws. It took so long because it was a big country. And with that, this is like the big, two aqidas, in the world. Which system is better now? After it fell, then this was Khatamus system, Khatamun Nabiyyin type of Khatamus system. That's it. There is no other system better in the world. Capitalist system. What is that? demand and supply, make everything free. People can make their money how they want. There's no laws, there's no regulations. The government shouldn't put their, interfere with people in how they earn money, which is fine. Islam also agrees to an extent to this kind of system. And this is actually in the Quran, the hadith also. The Messenger ﷺ said in a hadith, دَعُوا النَّاسِ يَرْزُقُ اللَّهُ بَعْضَهُمْ بِبَعْضٍ. Leave people free to do how they want to buy and sell. Allah gives risk to some through others. Let the normal forces of demand and supply work. If there's hot weather, then there'll be more demand for ice creams and for freezers and for ventilators and for ACs, so people will produce that more. And it's just the normal system of the world. When it gets cold, then the people doing business selling heating, and they will get money. This is the normal system of Allah. There's one hadith, the Messenger ﷺ said, "La tusa'iru." He was talking to the governments. He said, "La tusa'iru." Do not fix prices. Don't interfere and meddle. Don't say you can't sell this for this much. Don't. Inna Allaha huwal musa'irul qabidul basit. It is Allah who fixes the price. What does that mean? Does Allah say in the Quran, banana costs this much? Yeah. The hadith says, Allah is al-musa'ir. Allah is the one who fixes the price. What does that mean? Natural demand and supply. Naturally, when there's more demand for something, and there's less supply, naturally, automatically these prices are fixed. So this is the capitalist system, but Islamic system is in the middle. Islam, this is what I'm saying. Islam says, look, yes, people are free, but not completely free. There are laws. There are religious laws, there are ethical laws, there are moral laws, there are restrictions. You can't just make money how you want. There are guidelines. One of the most profitable way of making money today, this is why when we have this greed, then we won't look at what halal and haram is. The hadith of Sahih al-Bukhari, يَأْتِي عَلَى النَّاسِ زَمَانٌ لَا يُبَالِ الْمَرْءُ مَا أَخَذَ مِنْهُ أَمِنَ الْحَلَالِ أَمِنَ الْحَرَامِ. A time will come on the people, they will not care where they make their money, from halal or haram. They don't care. It's because the materialistic mentality is, I want to make money and I want to make it, and I want to make it now. However I make it, I want to make it. Who cares about whoever? Who cares about moral restrictions or ethical laws, or who cares about what people will think? Who cares about fighting and arguing with people? I've had cases, so-called practicing people sitting in front of me, people dressed as Muslims in my country, people who come to the masjid, people running masjids in UK, not here, so please don't take offense. And sorry if I'm frank here and there, then please forgive me. It's not, I don't mean to sort of be offensive, it's just a nasiha from my own self as well. But I've dealt with lots of cases with people, so-called people, they are fighting, they're like, literally, they pray salah, fajr, dhuhr, asr, maghrib, and they are holding each other's, what do you call this? Sorry? Yeah, in Urdu, but in English, what do you call it? Collars. And they're literally punching one another. In Ramadan, they're sitting and doing i'tikaf and subha, and here they're fighting. The hadith says, two Muslim believers fight, it's قِتَالُ سِبَابُ الْمُسْلِمِ فُسُوقٌ وَقِتَالُهُ كُفْرٌ. Fighting with another Muslim is kufr. That's what the hadith says in Sahih al-Bukhari. Meaning close, it takes you close to kufr. And these are so-called practicing people, because when money comes, then your beard, your hat, your thobe, your tasbih, your salah, everything has gone down the drain. Who cares? You get this intoxication. A person is intoxicated with money, and it's like a buzz, it's like a drug. It's like that's why the love of dunya, some of the early scholars explain it as like a rush. The more you scratch, the more you want to scratch. You want to keep on scratching. And you never feel satiated, you never feel content. Love of dunya is a disease that a person will never feel that he's had enough. And this is in the hadith. لو كان لابن آدم واديان من ذهب لابتغى ثالثا. If the son of Adam had two valleys of dhahab, gold, he will want a third one. ولا يملأ جوف ابن آدم إلا التراب. Nothing will fill the stomach of Ibn Adam, the son of Adam, except dust and earth until you die. It just carries on and carries on and carries on. It's just, you never feel content. And this is why one of the du'as we need to make is Allahumma qanni'ni. This is a prophetic dua. Allahumma qanni'ni bima razaqtani. Oh Allah, make me content with what you've given me. You could have less, and content is better than having more and not being content. If you have more and be content, alhamdulillah, that's great as well. But contentment, happy. Sometimes we are not content. Some people, they make money at the expense of family life. People are busy wanting massive houses but no homes. We don't have time for children. If we're making money at the expense of our family relationship, we want houses but not homes, no personal relationship with parents and children and brothers and sisters. This is where you're not content. This is why another dua, وَالرِّضَى, being content with what Allah has given. Another hadith of Bukhari, لَيْسَ الْغِنَى عَنْ كَثْرَةِ الْعَرْضِ وَلَكِنَّ الْغِنَى غِنَى النَّفْسِ. Real richness is not excessive wealth. It's really how you feel in the heart. If you feel good in the heart, you're content with less or more, then that is the real richness. Because it's internal, you feel content with what Allah has given you. So anyway, I was saying the second way is to earn money in a halal way. In a way that is in accordance with the laws of Sharia, the laws of... So I was saying Islamic system agrees with the capitalist system to an extent. Let people make money how they want. But it's not unbridled or complete freedom to make money as you want. No. There are laws from Allah, who is the Khaliq, who is the Creator, who send down these laws. Yes, 90% of the time you can make your money how you want. Nobody should interfere. Neither the government should interfere. They shouldn't say you can't buy this or you can't sell this and you can't do this. Let people be free and let them have healthy competition and make your money, no problem. But there are laws in place from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not like you can make your money how you want. There was a survey done many years ago here in the United States of America. One of the most profitable jobs to make money was for a model girl to pose herself and be a model. And that was one of the most lucrative and financially, it was a very, a way to make money. One of the most profitable way of making money was to pose as a model. Now Islam says there are conditions. You can't just make money however you want. No, Islam says there are laws of Islam from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is haram, this is haram, this is haram. And it's not too much. It seems that there are a lot of laws. And these laws are not just because, we should believe in them, because if you believe in Allah, we shouldn't even be asking, oh Allah, why? Islam is all about submission. The meaning of Islam is submission. The meaning of Islam is, we hear Islam means peace. It means that as well, but actually the word Islam itself means submission. Islam, from that word, is the meaning of peace. Muslim is the one who has submitted to the command of Allah and His Messenger. Bala man aslama wajhahu lillah. Islam means submission. Ibrahim and Ismail, peace be upon him, the story, Hajj time, when he said, slaughter your son. Both of them submitted to the command of Allah. Allah said, falamma aslama, when they both submitted to the command of Allah. So it's all about submission. We shouldn't be asking, Allah, why did you make interest haram? And actually the mushrikun of Makkah, they asked, when the Quran revealed verses that interest and riba is haram, absolutely categorically it's haram, then they asked, they said, إِنَّمَا الْبَيْعُ مِثْلُ الرِّبَى, Surah Al-Baqarah. إِنَّمَا الْبَيْعُ, Surah Al-Baqarah I think, yes? إِنَّمَا الْبَيْعُ مِثْلُ الرِّبَى. O Messenger of Allah, the mushrikeen of Makkah, they probably didn't believe in him. They said to the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, what's the big deal? What's the point? Why are you saying one is haram and one is halal? Why are you saying business is halal and interest is haram? إِنَّمَا الْبَيْعُ مِثْلُ الرِّبَى. Bay' is exactly like interest. One is making money from money and one is making money from commodity. I can buy this bottle of water from him for $2 and sell it to you for $3. I'm making money. Or I could just make money, give you $2 and take $3 from you. One is making money from a bottle of water, one is making money from money. What's the big deal? They're both exactly the same. This is what they meant. إِنَّمَا الْبَيْعُ مِثْلُ الرِّبَى. What did Allah say? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't reveal verses, tell them, look, there's intellectual, there's wisdoms, there's all these, there are a lot of differences. There's a major difference between the two. It seems the same, but Allah said, وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى, full stop. Allah made one halal, one haram, end of story. Full stop. Sorry, this is Allah. You believe, that's it. You believe in God, أَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَى. That's it, no other explanation, no wisdom, hikmah. If you believe in Allah, Allah made business halal and He made interest haram, end of story, khalas. Full stop. Like you say full stop, or here you say in a period. Yes, that's it in America. We don't use that period in the UK. Yeah, period. We say full stop. This is what Allah is saying. But that doesn't mean that we don't look at the wisdoms. Yeah, of course. But we accept it, and then to understand the deeper reasons, of course, and then you can read books on this. Why is one haram, one is halal? One of the major reasons for the whole financial crisis was because of this whole interest-based system. One of the main reasons why we had this global financial crisis, because it was just a balloon economy, and it was just fake economy. Islam wants people to invest where you are producing things. I'm selling this water I've taken from him, it's real estate or real things, commodities are being transacted in. Islam doesn't like just artificial money, because money is different from a commodity. A commodity, you can use it and you can benefit from it. Money you can't. What can you do with money? Money does not have any intrinsic value to it. Intrinsic meaning you can't take a piece of $10 and put cheese on it and make a sandwich and eat it. It's just a medium of exchange. So there's a massive difference. Oh, I thought it was 9:15, 9:30. I was just like, I'm not even halfway through. Oh, subhanallah. Okay. अच्छा ठीक है. Is that fine? Adhan is at 9 or? 9 o'clock that starts. Okay. I'm just going to try to sum up. So there are a lot of things which are halal and haram. So one of the main reasons, and some of the questions I'll probably answer in this. Interest is one of the main things that's haram. I just wanted to quickly... Riba is one of, everyone knows, and I don't need to go into all the Quranic verses and hadith. These are laws in order for us to be in the first category of people. Okay, Allah gave war, declaration of war for interest. Look, brothers and sisters, I know it's very difficult. I live also in the Western world. I don't come from, living in some village in Kashmir or somewhere. So I know, okay, I was born, many of you probably not even born in the West. I was born in the West. I was born in England. I've lived all my life in England. So I totally understand. I grew up in the United Kingdom of Britain. You don't say United Kingdom of Britain, you just say United Kingdom. So I understand how it's difficult. There's tuition fees, there's college fees, there's university fees. People are struggling. I have a lot of young people who are struggling. But interest, there's no sin on which Allah has declared war over except the sin of interest. فَأْذَنُوا بِحَرْبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. We're living in a time where people are taking interest very lightly. Why? There's no difference between the sin of interest and the sin of zina. There's no difference. Zina, fornication is haram. Maybe interest is more haram, but let's say, okay, they're both clearly haram. People say, but we're living in a time, then the same argument, we're living in a time, is very difficult, too much fitna, just one zina inshallah, just is okay. One zina halal, just one zina is okay. Just one house is okay, one zina is okay. If you agree with one zina, then maybe you have the same argument for one house, because there's no difference. Many scholars have said this, that people say it's very difficult. Well, there's lots of young people. I've had young people coming to me from university saying it's very difficult. Can we just do one zina? Just one girlfriend until we graduate, and then inshallah we'll get a proper wife. And there are some people who are taking this fatwa that one young person came to me, and someone gave him fatwa that he was from Saudi Arabia, and he was studying in Ireland. And he said, one sheikh gave me fatwa that I'm living here for 4 years and I'm struggling, so one girlfriend is okay, just for my iman. People are taking this fatwa. So this hardship, there's no difference. There's no difference. There is no difference. But we have principles. We have laws in Islam based on the Quranic. Allah says, فَمَنِ اضْطُرَّ غَيْرَ بَاغٍ وَلَا عَادٍ فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ. If somebody, pork is haram, alcohol is haram, interest is haram, zina is haram. Allah says about pork and alcohol, if somebody is forced because of hunger, because of thirst, if you do not eat pork, if I don't drink this alcohol right now, I could die out of thirst, then Islam says it is permissible for you to drink alcohol to save your life. If you're dying out of hunger, you have no food except pork, then it is permissible to eat just that much, that will save your life. غَيْرَ بَاغٍ وَلَا عَادٍ. Not transgressing, not that, okay, Allah has allowed me, so let me just enjoy it as well and drink as much as possible. One time I'll never get this chance to drink alcohol because, no, this is the only the amount that's needed. And وَلَا غَيْرَ بَاغٍ, without enjoying it, thinking, bad, this is bad, but like I have to, and you have to save your life. If you don't save your life, you're sinful. Because that's suicide. Islam says, no, you have to drink alcohol. You can't say, no, I'll die in the sake of Allah, for the path of Allah, but I'm not going to drink alcohol. No, Islam says you have to save your life and drink the haram. Likewise, the same rule applies to interest. If someone is in a situation, if they don't get involved in interest-based transactions, and they think they will die, or they will lose their life, or the major part of the organ of the body is going to be destroyed, extreme, absolute necessity, then the same rule applies. The same rule that allows alcohol, the same rule that allows zina, the same rule, if someone puts a gun at your head and say, commit zina, save your life, permissible to commit zina. If you die, if someone thinks that they don't do zina, they will lose their life in whatever way, it's permissible. Likewise, exactly the same with interest. If you get involved, and there's so many ways of getting, it's not just mortgages. Sadly, I hear that lots of, anyway, but I don't know what, but there's a lot of people get involved in interest in lots of different ways, and we have to take it seriously. At least, look, that doesn't mean that, okay, you start condemning people. At least we realize that it's sin. It's a sin. Not one of the worst things is to justify something and not feel bad about it. At least if someone's committing a sin, they feel, I'm bad, inshallah, I'll make tawbah. At least I know it's a sin. You have a remorse. Maybe that remorse, Allah says, Allah will forgive that remorse. We're not judging anybody. You don't know somebody could be interested, but that person could enter Jannah. Allah can forgive any sin, except shirk. Inna Allah la yaghfiru an yushraka bihi, wa yaghfiru ma duna dhalika liman yasha. So at least we feel that it's a sin. There are people already in mortgages. We don't say, okay, sell your property, just quickly pay it off. But don't do massive holidays. Don't go for Umrah and Hajj. It's not permissible for you to go Hajj and Umrah. If you're in mortgages, then not permissible. Allah is not going to accept Hajj and Umrah and holidays. Just quickly pay it off and make your house free. The house is halal now. Now enjoy your life. But we have to make sure that we realize that this is haram. Now people have questions about this Islamic finance, etc., which maybe in the Q&A I'll talk about. But I'll just briefly mention here that these Islamic alternatives, people call it Islamic mortgages, and I don't like to call it Islamic mortgage, because a mortgage is a mortgage. Zina, you don't have Islamic zina. It's nikah is alternative to haram zina. So Islamic alternative products. There's so many in the world. It started from the Arab world. This all started from the 1970s, 80s, etc. And there's lots of banks and financial institutions offering a lot of different things. People ask me a lot about it. Now the issue about this is that not everything advertises as halal is halal, and not everything is haram. Not everything, because the laws that make it permissible are very, very strict. A lot of people advertise it as halal, but the way it's carried out, the transactions, it's not in accordance with Sharia. There may be some that are halal as well. Some people disagree with them as well. No problem, this is a matter of difference of opinion, people can disagree. And people phone me and say to me, look, but I don't agree with this, they just making money and it's haram anyway. I said, okay, you have a right. If you think that's haram, then that doesn't make this halal. That's too haram. All these Islamic mortgages, they're all haram anyway, so now I'm doing conventional mortgage. No, that means that's haram for you, and this is haram as well. Can I take a conventional mortgage because there's no Islamic mortgage? No, even if there wasn't one. This will always remain, conventional mortgage will always remain haram. If you agree with the alternative as being halal, fine. If you don't agree with it, then that's also haram. Two harams for you then. Do you understand the point? Because people think, okay, that's all, they're making money as well. And then with those Islamic financial products, one of the things people say is that it's exactly the same. It's not about being exactly the same, because you see, the issue is, look, when you eat halal meat and haram meat, they both taste the same, they both look the same. It's not about, that we have to see a change. It's laws of Islam. If those basic laws, those rules of Islam have been implemented, and then even if it looks exactly the same, or even if they're making more money, then that will be halal, but the condition is that they have applied the laws of Islam. But might answer this in the Q&A afterwards a bit more in detail, but briefly what I'll just say here is that not everything advertises as halal is halal, and not everything advertises as halal is haram. Some may be, if they do it properly. I have no connection with any financial institution or bank right now, so I don't really know. People ask, is this bank halal, or is this? We don't know. People need to investigate. And I've written a lot of things on this as well. So this is one thing, haram. And then also another thing which laws, like we all know, gambling is haram in Islam as well. There's so many things people can fall into. Gambling is one of the major sins. Lottery, we have the national lottery in the UK. It's haram. It makes greed. Some of the transactions give you, some things are not haram, but they give you a gambling type of flavor in there. Like some of the stock market dealings that take place. It's just, you want to, some things might be halal, but ethically, this mindset, I want to become a millionaire overnight. Islam doesn't like that. In England, we have so many of these schemes came out, where, just go and sell products, and I want to make money overnight, and then there's a straight fall, and then everybody falls down, and So this is not the mentality. Islam says, if you want to make money, work hard, do a job, provide a service to the community. Don't go in wanting to just make overnight money, and I just want to do it just quickly 2 nights, and I'll just make thousands of pounds. There's no barakah in them. But something might be halal, something might be haram. And then just the general things, like we said in the first category, the person who's truthful. We live in a time where Muslims, sometimes they cheat, they deceive. People are cheating, people are deceiving. You have to be very, very truthful. In order to get barakah, you need to be truthful and trustworthy in one's trade. There's a hadith of the Messenger ﷺ, he said that when the two transactors, the buyer and the seller, when they buy and sell in sadaqah wa bayyana, if they are both truthful and they both clarify what they're selling. If you are selling a car and you don't mention that there's a defect in it, muhriqat barakatu bay'ihima. The hadith says the barakah of this bay' transaction will be lifted from the person. In another hadith, the Messenger ﷺ said, Man ba'a mabi'an ذات عيب لم يبينه لم يزل في مقت الله حتى يبين. Whoever sells an item, commodity with a defect, with something wrong, and he doesn't tell the customer, and he cheats him or deceives him, this man will be under the ghadab, the wrath and anger of Allah, until he does not go and tell the person that I sold you something with a fault in it. Muslims don't do that, because Muslims realize that we have to be truthful, we have to be trustworthy. This is the way to do business and trade. The companions, Sahaba, you know how they spread Islam? This is how, because of their trade. There's one incident mentioned, some of the companions went to subcontinent. There was one Sahabi companion, he had his shop here, a Tabi'i Sahabi, and another companion there. A customer came to one of the companions, he said, can I have this what you're selling? He said, yeah, I have it, but can you go to that, my brother down there, he's got the same item, he'll buy it from him. He said, well, you've got it, why can't you sell me? He said, just go to him and buy it. He said, no, you've got it, why don't you sell me? He said, look, if you're asking, then I'll tell you. Me and him, my brother, we both sell the same things, and we both open the shops at the same time. Since morning, 1 hour, I've already had 3 customers. I've been looking at my brother that he has had no customer. I want my brother to also gain the same profit that I've got the profit. And this is why I go to him. This was the mentality of our early Muslims, and that gave them barakah in the rizq. We want customer coming, no, don't go to him, come to me, go to him. He doesn't sell good, I sell better. Everyone's unhealthy rivalry, because it's all about money. So being truthful, being trustworthy, having this quality of ithar, giving preference to other persons. Also Islam just allows things like hoarding, taking advantage of people. There's numerous hadith. The hadith says, Al-muhtakiru mal'oonun. The one who hoards is cursed by Allah. Who's a hoarder? Who hoards? Someone in the olden times, somebody used to go and gather all the sugar, everything, and then wait when there's famine and when there's nobody's got sugar, then he takes out from his, downstairs all his sugars. Now I'm a dictator. I will sell at my price, take advantage of people, poor people, they want basic needs, water, wheat, barley, salt, sugar, and that's it. I'm creating a monopoly. This person in the hadith is cursed in the hadith of the Messenger ﷺ. Ihtikar. These are all guidelines, because just having this materialistic mentality is something what Islam doesn't. Islam, and then I'll end with this, Islam wants profit and loss and investment. Investment is very good, it's actually recommended. Investment is sunnah as well. The Sahaba used to invest in halal businesses, not haram, in halal businesses. And investing is based on profit and loss. A lot of people make a mistake, and I'll end with this. When you invest, investing means it's on the basis of what? Profit and loss. Okay? Which means that your initial money is not guaranteed. Listen to this carefully. Your capital is not guaranteed. If I want to invest money, I give you $10,000, I invest. I can't say to you, whatever happens, I want my $10,000 back. I can't say that. It's profit and loss. If those 10,000 become 20,000, we can agree 50-50. He'll give me my 10 back, and he'll keep 5 of the profit, I'll keep 5 of the profit. If those 10 become 5, then we'll share 2.5. Well, if he put 10,000 and I put 10,000, or he put 5 and 5, then we'll share the loss. My capital is not guaranteed. This is the meaning of investment. The moment when your capital is guaranteed, then any profit on that becomes interest. This is the meaning of interest. Because when I say here's the money and it's guaranteed, then that is no longer investment, that is a loan. Loan is where your money is guaranteed. When your money is guaranteed, then you can't take any profit on it. If you do want profit on it, then your money is not guaranteed. You know, they say the saying, you can't have your cake and eat it at the same time. Have you heard of that phrase? You know the decoration cake, some people, they want to have the decoration of the cake, and they want to eat it as well. Eid cake, let's eat it, but we want it as well. You can't have it both ways. Either give it as a loan and then don't expect any profit. Or, you want profit, then say, maybe there's a chance that my money I might lose as well because it's profit and loss. And this is investment. And it's halal, it's sunnah, it's a very good way. And there's lots of other rules as well, and time is up, so I'm just going to sum up this. These are the two ways. In order for a person to be in the first group of those tradesmen, those businessmen who are with the Anbiya, with the Siddiqeen, with the Salihin, is that number one, he changes his perspective, she changes her perspective. Not be materialistic, rather try to do business in a way that will help and serve the community. And number two, the person ensures that he or she stays away from haram. Anything which is haram and lawful, we stay away from them for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we do that, we'll see. We might lose a bit of money, we might earn less, but Allah will give us barakah in that wealth, and we will feel internally happy with that money, inshallah. We'll end with this. May Allah grant us the tawfiq. I mean, time was very, very short. I don't know what time I started. I must have started. Sorry? Yeah, what time did I start? 9 o'clock? 8. 1 hour. I didn't even realize I spoke for 1 hour. But inshallah, we'll end here. And if there's questions, we can take maybe some of the things that I wanted to say may come in the question and answer, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.